Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it? You already know. Like a motherfucking smack at it. Man, let's get straight to it. If that ain't the jam, I don't know what a jam is, right? No jelly. Now trip out and no diddy. I wanted to talk about a situation that has occurred on YouTube, social media. First of all, let me get this light out of my face because it's driving me crazy. It's turning me purple. It's fucking, I'm not the Incredible Hulk, nor am I fucking Barney. Now, trip out on this. There's a new channel on social media, and I seen it coming a long time ago. And I knew the moment that boxer Enriquez was released from prison that this was on the horizon. This was going to eventually happen. And it's not that I was told, or it's not that I had some inside information or anything like that. It's when you see a man who has applied pressure his whole life, has been on the top of the food chain, has been in the prison system, and has controlled things at a certain and high level, them type of individuals like notoriety. Not all of them, no disrespect intended, but there's guys like that I've been around or I've seen in real life. They enjoy notoriety. They enjoy being the man. It's hard to let go of power when you've felt that type of power, if you understand what I'm talking about. And so when Boxer Enriquez was released from prison, which I never thought would happen, but he was, I knew it was only a matter of time before his presence was felt on social media. Now, the first inkling of him, getting on social media and actually voicing was the soft white underbelly. Something's going on with my throat. I'm sick. The soft white underbelly interviews. Now, for those that didn't watch them, you didn't learn anything new about Boxer other than what was written in his book or what has been out there on social media already. Now, for those of you that don't know who Boxer Mendoza is, most people that watch my channel know who he is. He was a person that held power within the California prison system for a long time. He was part of an organization which he defected from for his own reasonings. Now, he's told people a lot of different versions of the reason why, but what I've taken from what I've seen from him is he became disillusioned with his cause. He became aware that his only way to freedom, his only path to freedom, was to distance himself from the organization he once thrived within. And he decided to defect. Now, what makes him win the popularity contest compared to others that have decided to do that is because his debriefing process became public, and the way he spoke, the intelligence, the education, it shined, and people seen that, and it just blew their minds that someone in a criminal world, someone that was part of a prison group or organization, could actually be that intelligent. Newsflash, he's not the only one, right? But because people were able to sit down and listen to him speak, it blew everyone's mind. I mean, the way and some of the words that he used, his vocabulary is very extensive. He had the spectacular vernacular. He has charisma, but there's also a look in his eyes that those that have been in prison could tell. Don't be fooled by the way he looks or the way he talks or acts. There's a killer somewhere buried inside there, and it could come out at any time. You don't lose that. You can never change that. You could change your life. You could start worshiping God. You could start advocating and helping people and being a productive member of society, but you can never change the fact that you're a stone cold killer and that you might not act on those feelings or you might not act on impulse, but you're always going to be that. You can't wipe that slate clean. You can forget, but you can never forgive, or you can forgive, but you can never forget. It goes both ways. So lately, Boxer's been making the circuit. He went on Soft White Underbelly. And for those of you that don't know who Mundo Mendoza is, he's another very highly intelligent individual that was part of the same organization that defected years ago, decades ago. And this guy, up until the point of Boxer Enriquez, was pretty notoriously known as probably the highest ranking defector from that group. And he was taboo. He was taboo when you spoke about him or people spoke about him. there was nothing good people had to say. Now, me watching him for several years, he's been on social media. He doesn't show his face for his purpose, or whatever, but he actually does tell true stories, does state a lot of facts, and does spit real game. He is one of the originators. So if anyone knows the history of certain organizations within the prison system, the California prison system, it will be Mundo Mendoza. Now, at the same time, he decided to defect for his own reasonings. And when people defect from a gang, especially a prison organization, they do it for different reasons. Okay, some people do it because they're selfish. They just want to get out of prison. They don't care about their camaradas, their homeboys, the people they leave behind. You go into prison alone, you come out alone. So that's the mentality. But then there's guys that will actually defect or drop out, however you want to call it, and take a lot of people down with them for whatever reason. Now, the reasoning behind that is, of course, selfish. Being selfish. You could change your ways. You could change your attitude. You could be disillusioned with the gang or the group. You could say, yeah, you know what? It's no longer in me. I no longer have nothing to give to the cause, man. I no longer want to be a part of that. Or I'm not seeing eye to eye with what's going on around me. Or I realize that, some of the things I was told are not truths or whatever, was propaganda. However, whatever spin you want to put on it. Everyone does what they're going to do. You're a grown man at the end of the day, and no one can take that from you. But when you go out asked backwards, which means you go out taking a whole bunch of people down, getting a whole bunch of people convicted, telling on your group, people are gonna feel some type of way about that. You're gonna have fucking web on your face. You're gonna be considered the ultimate rata. Now, Mundo's been doing his thing for a very long time on YouTube and talking about the inner workings of the organization he once represented and was part of. Now, you could tell if you watch Mundo Mendoza, man, he still has a lot of canalismo within him for his gente and the people that he, affiliated with and associated with, some more so than others. You could also see that there's some guys that he doesn't like, that he's quick to throw under the bus or quick to put out things about them that weren't necessarily known or to belittle them. Now, not necessarily saying that he's a bad person, but everyone likes certain people and dislikes certain people. And that's just like myself. If you ask me about a certain dude who I fuck with or who I respect, I'm going to speak highly of them. I'm not going to put them in a bad position or talk shit about them. If there's someone I don't like, I'm going to, myself, the way I get down, I'm just trying to ignore it. Fuck them. I don't care about them. But if it's someone I really dislike, if someone's like, that vato's a poop butt. That vato can't even afford gas to get across town. Fuck him, right? He covers all his tattoos and she's a puto. So these are things that people like myself or any others that were part of something. Now, not saying I was part of a prison organization because I was not. Don't get that twisted. I'm not claiming that. Never have, never will, right? But I'm saying people that were in the lifestyle as far as gang related or, the criminal lifestyle. We do what we do. We do what we do, I say.
Hey, man, I'm out of here.
Right? Now, I've never been the one to push the propaganda of poison to the people saying, oh, drop out because you're just getting fucking mistreated or disillusioned or there's a lot of disloyalty and treachery. I'm not him. Okay. But these two individuals have pushed, Mundo Mendoza and Boxer Enriquez have pushed that narrative of trying to expose, the whole lifestyle for what it is and to disillusion people to get away from that. So, they're not going to be generally liked or greeted with, embraced with hugs. Now, the other day, there was a channel that popped up on social media, and I've been getting asked, that's the only reason I'm doing this video. I try to stay away from the organizations and talking about them, but there's a lot of people, overwhelmingly a lot of people that wanted to ask me, hey, Gun, what's up, man? What's your opinion on the new channel, The Mob Spot?
Are you kidding me? The Mob Spot?
With Mundo Mendoza and Boxer Enriquez. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to give you some knowledge you can't get in college. Guard! A little knowledge. Mundo Mendoza was actually at the parole hearing and assisted and helped Boxer Enriquez to parole. Spoke highly of him and said whatever he had to say to convince the board to give Boxer Enriquez a chance. Now, whether the assistance helped or didn't help or just didn't mean nothing, we'll never know. But these guys have a lot of similarities, have a lot in common, and actually know of each other. within the system. So I'm sure because they're on the same side of the fence, the other side is what the actives like to call it. They came together like butt cheeks and decided, hey, man, let's work together, not against each other. When you are on the other side, all you have is the guys that have similarities with you. Now, I've never known Boxer Enriquez to be a punk. I've never known Mundo Mendoza to be a punk, a sucker. They've always handled their business, and their record within the system and on paper shows that these were dangerous individuals. These were true bad guys. These were real. This wasn't a Scarface movie. This was Scarface in real life. You know, at the same time, the end of their story didn't end in a gangster fashion. They decided to be men on their own, stand on their own, and do what they did. Now, the crazy thing about these two guys, and I don't want to disrespect them because I'm not going to disrespect men that changed their lives and decided to go a different way. You know, it doesn't affect me one way or the other. I'm doing what I'm doing. They're doing what they're doing. Two whole different things. But I respect, you know, men that have changed, men that are striving for change, men that, you know, realize the errors of their ways and make amends for that. You know, there's plenty of people that I victimized in my life and a lot of things I've been around where it's like, if I can go back in history and change anything, it would be that, you know, hurting people, hurting the community, hurting the raza, hurting my family. So that's how I feel about that. So I don't know if these guys are playing the system, but whatever the case is, I truly believe Mundo Mendoza gave his life to his higher power, and he's just trying to make changes. Now, again, when you're as old as he is, and you're still talking about, you know, the inner workings of the gangs and still talking about people's names and still talking about stories that could possibly get people, you know, incarcerated, and you have a history of testifying in cases, man, to get your compatriots locked up, your compadres, right? I don't understand why after all this time, you know, you would not lean back and just decide, hey, for the betterment of myself, my family, and even those that I don't know that are doing what they're doing, even if you're disillusioned, even if you don't agree with what's going on, what the fuck is it your business to ruin what they got going on? You know, that's how I feel. Just leave it alone. Fuck, you're 103 years old. They say leave it alone. No disrespect, but Mundo Mendoza it just seems like sometimes he likes to spice up the stories. And even though a lot of it is truth, I think it's therapeutic to him. He like relives it. And that's what keeps him going. Now, someone who was a real gangster, a real bad guy like Mundo Mendoza, I could see where that helps him. I could see where he's still, that's all he knows. That's the lifestyle. So when he tells these stories, his eyes light up. Now, the way we hear the stories, it sounds like steer away from that. Don't go towards that. I'm just giving you true stories so you don't become a part of that. But there has been some stories where I could tell the distaste or the slander or the defamation of character. I've just seen it, right? When it comes to Mundo, I respect his intelligence. I respect him as a person. I'm glad that he changed his life. I'm glad that he's still alive and able to wiggle and function and eat good food every day. But there's a lot of things I'm not going to agree with. The fact that, you know, he decided that if for no other reason, you know, to throw everyone under the bus at the expense of themselves, you know, so that he could be free. And then with all your time, instead of, you know, going out there and just saying, you know what, I'm going to live, I'm totally, he immediately takes to the social media for whatever reason and just tells the whole inner workings of his group, right? Now, I myself have told stories that I was directly involved in, hood stories, things that I've been or participated in. But if you notice, man, I only tell you to a certain point and then I cut it off because I'm not trying to get anyone incarcerated or bring anyone down. I tell things and stories about people that are already, it's done, they've done time, or I've done time with them, or we've done time, and that's that. Never nothing that is going to lead someone to handcuffs, period. Because I'm not a firm or true believer in that and utilizing or scapegoating other people so that way I can get away with something. It's just not me. Now, when it comes to Boxer Mendoza, Boxer Enriquez, he's a little bit more flamboyant. And the way he talks and speaks, you know, and the way he schooled the people during his debrief, the authorities during his debrief, yeah, he gained a lot of popularity. So him being in contact with Mundo Mendoza, and I'm sure they have a good friendship and relationship. You can only trust so many people when you've defected from an organization, right? Not a lot of people are gonna like you. You know, they got to stick together. So they've decided to do a channel called the Mob Spot. Let's talk about that title of that channel from the beginning. Okay. I remember I got flack from my channel, Gunners Collective. Oh, you're still trying to push the Norteño movement, saying collective because Norteños use the collective word, right? Mine was a play off of that. I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I first started, just like now, I'm always going to have respect and love for the Norteño movement, period. I'm going to have respect and love for all raza movements, Southsiders, Northerners, doesn't matter to me, Latin Kings, Disciples, Vice Lords, and Haitians. All these motherfuckers being patiently waiting.
Since the West Coast fell off, the streets been watching the West Coast never.
Don't get me on the game shit, right? Even though he had a butterfly right here, and that's very Diddy. I'm just going to say that. Oh, yeah, he did. But the collective meaning a collective of people, a gathering of people, man, to hear the good words you heard, to hear the knowledge you can't get in college, to not hear bumping of baking soda breath on the door. So that's where it is with me. But when I see a channel of two allegedly reformed, figures that were in supreme power within the California system and part of a very well-known organization, call their channel the Mob Spot, you're not part of the mob. Why would you? I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, but isn't that still trying to push, like you're pushing that narrative? Like you're still part of that, like you're still a mobster, like you're still with that business. I just didn't get the title of it right. No hating, the Mob Spot. It sounds good rolling off the tongue, right? But you can't say, hey, come to the new channel, the Mob Spot, and it's two guys who testified against 1 million people. It just doesn't seem right. Again, there's going to be people that don't like this and say, how can you even talk about these guys? You wish you were on their level. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't wish incarceration on anybody, and I don't wish incarceration on myself. So, I strived for what I believed in to a certain point. And when I became disillusioned, I went out to the yard and I fought my way off that motherfucker, right? So that's the truth. Now, the way these guys did it, that's their business. Everyone has their own ways and everyone's in different predicaments. You can never talk shit about someone unless you're facing 100 years, and then you realize what you're going to do. So I don't hate on anyone. I'm just not going to go steal a payday candy bar with them at all. I like freedom. But, that Mob Spot kind of threw me off. Now, as far as the content, I'm sure it's going to be great content. These guys are a walking encyclopedia of the inner workings of the California system. But basically what that channel is going to be is an extension of a debrief, right? Hopefully these guys don't utilize this channel. They utilize it for what it should be and to spread the gospel of change and how men that were that deep in the lifestyle could change their lives and move on. There's a lot of things they can't tell us because of their circumstances or situation. These are guys that will never, ever be able to sleep a night. They're always going to have a restless night, because they hit a pinnacle. They were at such a level that some of the people that they told on and some of the people that they, affiliated or associated with, don't take too kindly to them or even having to see them, especially on social media. I said in my last video that I did about Boxer Enriquez, you would think that someone would just go into obscurity. They would just disappear and do their thing. I respect Boxer Enriquez's the fact that he was able to get out and move on and be around his family. I don't respect the fact that he's going to continue to basically debrief. It's going to be a continuance. I don't see how he wins. How you open up tear off scabs and open up new old wounds. You're just continuing to put your name and face out there. Now, when it comes to Mundo, he's an older gentleman. He's been doing it. The way he does it, he does not say too much. Let's be honest with you. He only talks about past crimes or crimes that he was involved in. Again, it's a situation where I could see where he's trying to be Boxer's mentor. And because they were part of the same thing, it's kind of like, hey, getting back with the old, let's bring the band back together again, right? The old school. But I just don't understand you know, the fact of calling it the mob spot. Like it's like Sammy the Bull and them still trying to play mafia. It's like Michael Franchise still swearing up and down that he's solid and he never told on anyone. It's like these guys, I don't hate on them, but it's like, bro, let's just be transparent and real. Like myself. What are you, gun? Non-active Norteño. I don't gangbang no more, man. I did. I did it at a pretty decent level. I was in the mix, man, around some heavy hitters. But yeah, no, I don't do that anymore. Why? Because it's not what's best for me in my life. I'm never going to say, hey, gangbanging sucks and this. No, find out yourself. You need to find out yourself. But according to me and what I've been through, it just didn't fit into my pattern of life and what I got going on nowadays. I'm active as fuck, though. Don't get it twisted in my children's life and as a father and working every day. And that's and going to the grocery store and doing the things that I have to do to keep my fucking household rolling, right? But as far as, gangbanging in the streets, I'm a 46-year-old man. What can I contribute even if I was still in good standings? Nada. And I don't intend to. These guys, man, I think still want to play gangster. I'm going to be honest with you. The mob spot. Come over here and hear some old school chisme. There's no hatred, but at the same time, I just think that name is untrue. You're not that no more. You decided to go ass backwards on that, and you should stick to that. Now, as men, I respect Box. Don't get it twisted. Oh, you're just a hater, and I don't want him to take it any other way if he happens to see this video, because the killer's still in him, And so there's never no disrespect. I don't know that man in real life, in truth. And I know I could be quite wrong. Maybe he has changed. Maybe he does have a different agenda. But as men, we don't all totally change. It's not like we flip a switch and now we're just a good guy. There's always going to be that bad guy lurking somewhere. So, whether these guys are doing this new channel for clout, if they're doing it, for funds, for the monetary part of it, whatever, man, teach their own. They're allowed to make a channel. They're allowed to do it. But what is this world coming to? We're in 2025. Let me look at my watch. 2025. Okay, February, 3rd? And we're talking about Boxer Enriquez and Mundo Mendoza got a channel together on social media. Wow, who would have ever said them words? With that being said, let me know what you think. Do you think, man, it's a good thing? I mean, we're going to get a lot of good stories. I'm going to tune in, definitely subscribe and support. But, if there's things that I hear that I don't want to hear, as far as I'm up out of there, man. I don't need that smoke. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys going to pull up to the mob spot and check out the stories? There's not too many stories, man, anyone could tell anymore that haven't been told already. The prison genre is pretty watered down now, especially with a lot of these characters that they're like the Timu version of me, or to be truthful, they tell other people's stories but put themselves in it, and you know who you are. Ah, man, the gun.